Don Lemon says he was fired by CNN. Lemon said he's stunned and learned the news from his agent. Quote, Don will forever be a part of the CNN family. We thank him for his contributions over the past 17 years. We wish him well and we'll be cheering him on in his future endeavors. Well, I'll be cheering on his departure. So we're all cheering for something. How about that, CNN? After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work that I have loved at the network. It is clear that there are some larger issues at play. Now, I got to agree. First James O'Keefe, then Don Lemon. People are going after very okay, so we are concerned about James O'Keefe and Tucker Carlson. We're actually happy about the Don Lemon thing. So it is strange, though. A lot of shakeup in media.
Yeah. So what are you saying? No one at CNN actually told him?
Apparently he's lying.
Oh, okay.
I guess CNN.
Well, that's why he worked there.
Yeah. Can I just say that my favorite part about his firing is that he couldn't even accurately report on his own firing. Come on, Don, damn.
I mean, it's also interesting to me that we're all like, oh, so Tucker's probably going to go independent. Whereas like Don Lemon, we're like, what is he going to do?
By tomorrow, he's out.
He's going to be holding a foam cup.
What happened to Brian Stelter? That's where Don Lemon's going.
We just know he is not going independent. And partially this, like, how could they do this to me statement proves how much he wants to stay with the machine. It's just such a clear contrast in the mentalities, right? We have no hope for him.
Did you guys see Brian Stelter on that? He did that interview. Who was that interview with? I think it was News Nation or something. And he's like, why were you fired, Brian? And he's like, I don't know. I really have no idea. And everyone's like, really, Brian? You don't know? Your boss explained exactly why he was firing people. And it's like, your boss comes out and says, I'm going to fire partisan actors who are activists and not journalists. Brian Stelter, you're fired. Me? I wonder why that happened.
Yeah.
How could you do this to me, says Brian. No,
that's Don Lemon is like, I can't believe this happened. Are you kidding, dude? Also, you made Caitlin Collins cry. It's been reported.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, part of it is this idea, like, how could senior management not contact me? Like, maybe it's because they don't want to talk to you because you're difficult to deal with. Like, that's why they made your own agent tell you, because they didn't want to have a scene in the building. They didn't want to deal with a call. Like,
sometimes a person is like a maniac. That's a fair point.
And Don Lemon fits that profile. You know what I mean?
He's so rational. What are you talking about?
Tim, you hired canceled people. You should hire Don Lemon, dude. Get your other chair.
Jeremy Boring posted something like, many people are asking about Daily Wire making an offer to Tucker, but wherever Tucker lands, he'll be successful. And then he later posted, many people are asking about the Daily Wire hiring Don Lemon. I'm just kidding. Nobody's asking that.
Well, that would be an amazing shakeup, though. Don Lemon goes to the Daily Wire.
Right.
It's a sad state of affairs because basically everyone on cable news is somebody who would never have gotten a platform if they had to build it up on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let me tell you something.
Yeah, that's an important point.
Yeah.
And how much was Don Lemon getting paid?
Too much.
Also, to have been with a network for 17 years.
$4 million.
Well,
let's see. His salary is estimated to be $4 million per year. I'm thinking about that, right? Nobody likes Don Lemon. Like, even the left doesn't like Don Lemon. Nobody likes him.
Oh, now I'm starting to feel bad for him, Tim. You're really going in on this guy.
It's okay. He can just move to San Francisco and get reparations. He'll be fine.
Here's what I'm thinking about. We're talking about what could this guy do now that he's like lost his job? He can't get a job at a movie theater as a manager, right? Because they'd be like, dude, you're Don Lemon. Like, it's going to cause issues for us.
You're overqualified.
You're bad for our brand, man. Get out.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Like, high-profile individuals can't get regular jobs for the most part because they're just like, you're a huge liability. We don't want the attention. We don't want the commotion. And we don't believe that you'd actually take the job and stick with it. So Don Lemon, where could he possibly go? I'm imagining what it would be like to be Don Lemon and to be hanging out, semi-retired, because you got fired at a bar. Do you think people are going to go up to Don Lemon and be like, hey, man, I'm a big fan. Sorry to hear what happened? No way.
Well, it depends on the kind of bar, I guess.
No, I don't think based on the way the left and the right view Don Lemon, that there's any circumstance where he shows up somewhere and they're like, wow, Don Lemon, I'm such a big fan of your work. They might be like, oh yeah, you're Don Lemon. How about that?
You never go to the center left bar down the street?
He's not even center left.
I know. He's like
he's like weirdo panderist corporatist.
Yeah.
And people are going to be like, look, it's Don Lemon. Get a job.
Dude,
that's what they're going to do.
He's going to become a Twitch streamer. And he's going to be biggest one.
I think that would be an amazing character arc. But also, I think he's going to do what a lot of people who kind of fail their way out of the career they're in, whether it be media or politics, and he's going to go into academia. He's just going to become a professor. Some college is going to be like, oh, Don Lemon,
really good point.
We will just give you tenure right away, and you can teach the next generation of people, and then we get to bring you out whenever we're like, look how fancy our school is.
And he checks all the DEI boxes as well, so that's a good point. This is the reason why, as well, media is so dead, because the next generation of journalism students are being taught and indoctrinated by people like Don Lemon and Brian Stelter. It's truly incredible.
Yeah. It's not a great system, but it's the one that exists.
Not that
because that's where Liz Cheney is. Liz Cheney's teaching at University of Virginia?
I don't think anybody actually watched Don Lemon.
But he's a name people know. So I think I agree with Hannah Claire that some university will be like,
bro,
we only hire people who don't know anything.
What if CNN offered you $4 million a year to host the morning show with Caitlin Collins?
I would say that's far too much. It's going to be a giant waste of money. I'm going to go do it. And then I would go in there, and on the first day, I would say everything that they... No, I mean, I'd say CNN, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. You can contact my people.
But I mean, it's a serious question.
Do you think?
Though.
Yeah. What are you really like? What would I have CNN had a show with me? I would explain to the public why the sexual revolution is a farce and this country's great Christian values, and that would be my morning show. I'd be like, this coffee is terrible, but you know what's even worse?
John
what
Money
has been done to mankind. John Money, Alfred Kinsey. I would turn the first morning show into a presentation on Alfred Kinsey.
No, but in all seriousness, if CNN tried poaching a anti-establishment or right-leaning personality, and the CEO was like, "Look, we don't want to be partisan," should they do it? Right? Like, would you take a morning anchor position at CNN?
Absolutely not.
You
liar.
Wouldn't?
No.
But I don't know if that...
Yes, you would.
I'm not a money person, and CNN is a laughing stock. I'd be embarrassed to work there, to be quite honest with you.
See, I feel like Seamus is kind of right to be like, yes, I'll take the money, and then I'll just continue to be myself.
And I'll just do what they can fire me.
Like, if you have an ironclad contract where it's like, if you want to fire me, you have to pay me an additional $1 million. Like, just run it out for 6 weeks.
The reason why I wouldn't go there is because, again, I really do truly feel like corporate media is dead. So going to CNN would just kill my career. It'd just be pointless.
Yeah, you're picking meat off the carcass, but you're still making $4 million.
Exploit them. All right, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you go into CNN, you look at the camera, and you explain all of the horrible things that the industrial military complex is doing and the wars they're pushing us into. You explain to them, and the Fed. You explain to them the farce of sexual liberation. You explain to them what's happening to these children who are being mutilated by doctors.
And then you lead a segment with a few moments of prayer, silent prayer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, now we got to
There's no way. If you want to reach the people most in need, actually going to CNN is essentially a missionary trip.
Exactly.
To the other side.
Oh yeah, Tim, you just asked me if I would go to Nineveh for $4 million or whether I would go into the belly of that whale.
I'm choosing the whale. You're better than me. You're better than me.
Well, Jonah did it first too. And,
so the other thing is, I've actually gotten a bunch of messages from people, and they were like, your main competition for 8 p.m. has been removed. And it's like, look, for us, Tucker Carlson was competition. For Tucker Carlson, we are not competition. You know what I mean? Like
the torch has been passed, Tim. This is a lot of pressure on you.
He needs to formally come in and like announce you are the new.
You need like a silk beanie now, all right?
Hopefully we get him on the show. And then he says, you just watch Timcast IRL from now on.
Yeah, you should ask Tucker to be your new co-host, dude.
But I think the reason I was asking about CNN is because Chris Licht is clearly trying to fix the network. I'm not sure if it can be done. Because, like, if you bought a car and then, like, some guy, say it's Don Lemon, went inside that car and then defecated all over the seats, the nice leather seats.
That happened to a friend of mine, actually.
And then left the car in the sun for, several days to fester in the summer heat in Las Vegas. And then the car was bought by some guys like, I'm going to clean this up. I still wouldn't want to ride in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's nothing you could replace the inside and everything. I'm just like,
you don't want to be in a car that Don Lemon sat in.
But it's not that. It's like
value.
People are going to see you driving around in it, and they're going to be like, "Dude, you're driving around in that car full of crap." It's like, we cleaned it, man. It's like, well, I hope so.
He who humbles himself will be exalted.
Bro. Get out of there.
What did you say?
He who humbles himself will be exalted. If that's what CNN is, I would go there and I would spread the truth, and I would take the embarrassment of being on CNN. But there's an important point to this conversation, which is that as we were talking about CNN, every single one of us is like, that would be super embarrassing to be on CNN. That would be like absolutely humiliating.
Wait, can I play for you the clip that got Don Lemon fired? Yeah. So this is from Aaron Rupar, the notorious. What is he still with Vox? I don't know where he works. I guess not. He's, according to the New York Times, this interview that Don Lemon conducted last week with Vivek Ramaswamy played a role in his firing. Note, co-host Poppy Harlow sitting silently while Lemon goes after Vivek. Check this out. Is it going to play?
I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to black Americans, to say that black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was part of what secured
hang on,
that
please.
freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say that...
Wait, I got to pause. You hear that? Don Lemon is talking to the producers, telling them to stop talking in my ear. They're probably saying, Don, shut up, stop. And he goes, I can't do this. And then he goes off. It's not the first time he's done this.
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They
That's
were
a
not
fact.
secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not, you are discounting Reconstruction. You're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to
And you know
happen
how they got it?
War
They got their Second Amendment rights, and they actually got the NRA played a big role in that. But today, Don, the
NRA did not play a big role
absolutely,
in
they
that.
trained black
That
Americans
is
how to
a
use
lie.
firearms.
That's a lie. That's not. The
It's
NRA did not play a big role in
This
that.
is just historical fact.
It's
But
not
Don,
a historical fact.
the part that I
Just
find
because you say it's a historical fact.
The part that I find
historical
insulting is when you say today black Americans don't have those rights after we have gone through civil rights revolution in this country.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have
the
a different
freedoms
point
that
of view.
black and white that black people don't have in this country, and that black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me
shouldn't express your
regarding
views,
you as a
but I think
black
it's
man,
insulting that
but
you're
me
sitting
regarding you
here,
as a fellow citizen.
that you're
That's what I
sitting
think we should
here,
see.
whatever ethnicity you are, splaining to me.
Whatever ethnicity I'm.
Yeah,
that is bad.
American, I'm proud of it, but I think we should have this debate. Black, white doesn't matter.
I think we should have this
on
debate.
the content of the
If
ideas.
you're going to do it, you should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay, but we appreciate you coming on.
Could you imagine buying a car that's been just like stained with Don Lemon's crap? And then you're like trying to convince people you're making it better, but Don Lemon keeps crapping in the front seat.
I gotta be honest, I am so sick of whatever ethnicity you are privilege. It is.
Whatever ethnicity you are. Wow.
No, I just want to be Poppy Hollow right now.
He
It's
went
like,
for being
geez.
racist without knowing what
Without
race
even
Vivek
knowing.
was.
He's like, I don't know what stereotype to insult you with. It's like, I'm just gonna assume there is something.
So, but I think the real reason he got fired is right there in the beginning. Let me play that again.
With due respect, I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to black Americans, to say that black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was part of what secured
hang on,
that
please.
freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So
right there. I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. CNN is so horribly mismanaged. I bet they were saying, stop arguing. Be a journalist. Stop arguing. Ask him his views and move on. And Don was like, no. Black lives matter.
If he asks some questions, he might know what ethnicity he is.
That's right.
No. It's not about who he's interviewing. It's about Don Lemon, right? He's here to make these points, whatever ethnicity you are, and move on. I think that's what's hard. He is used to interviewing guests who are maybe a little sycophantic. He's not prepared to, not that Vivek is being hostile, they're just obviously on different sides. So he's not prepared to go into an interview with someone who he disagrees with. He wants people to support his beliefs only. And I think that summarizes a lot of the hosts on CNN and their viewership, right? It is ultimately to reinforce your own worldview. Whereas like contrasting Tucker was like, look, we got to talk about this stuff that's happening, even if you don't like it or even if you're skeptical about it.
Jeff Zucker slithered into CNN and then defecated into the brains of their hosts. Because Don Lemon, if you watch his videos from like 10 years ago, was a very, very different person.
I was going to bring that up. If you just played a clip of old Don Lemon versus new Don Lemon, completely different people, completely different. Like, yeah, Don Lemon, I wouldn't say mirrored Tucker, but he made good points. He was a normal human being. He actually seemed like he cared about reporting and, highlighting issues that were actually affecting people, whereas now it's all propaganda. So this clip is just incredible. We love to see it. We love to see people imploding, via their own actions.
I just wish we could get the audio. Like, I wish they'd leak the audio of whatever they were saying to Don Lemon. Like, please, just move on. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. And he's like,
no, it's a producer being like, Don, please, you need to stop. And then he goes, I can't keep a thought if you're talking in my ear. And he goes, I'm sorry.
Or it was the producers trying to like feed him talking points to counter Vivek.
Yeah.
You know what? This is occurring to me too. So his network is most likely getting mad at him for being annoying, but it's not like he broke a particular story that anyone is speculating that they're mad at him for. And I think that really says something, because with Tucker Carlson, we are speculating. Well, maybe it was the January 6th story. Maybe it was about the Dominion voting systems, whatever it might be. He stepped on a lot of toes, which theoretically is what a journalist is supposed to do. What story has Don Lemon broke of any consequence that any person in power would be upset about?
He broke the story that he is a black man who has personal experiences that Vivek is wrong about.
See, well, I didn't know that, so thank you for informing me.
He
now
exposed,
I have so much more respect for his journalistic abilities now.
That's right. His lived experience, you mean.
Couldn't figure out whatever ethnicity that guy was.
His lived experience.
Yeah, but he knew about his own lived experience. Isn't that so dismissive, though, to hold your own ethnic or racial identity as so important to you, and then just totally dismiss somebody else? It's like, whatever you are.
I mean, but that's the entire modern day.
Yeah.
It's either your race, your sexuality, whatever makes you the most special, and then you just use that to discount anybody who disagrees with your claims. That's it. So easy.
For sure, but if you're going to be race obsessed, at least be obsessed with my actual race.
Remember that?
Instead of whatever you are, Stan. I'm not from whatever you are, Stan.
There was a phone call interview, and there was a black radio host, and there was like a white woman, and she was like,
Yes.
well, you wouldn't understand because you're white. And he goes, what? Ma'am, I'm black. And she's like, what? And he's like, I'm black. And she's like, you are? Like, her whole worldview was just totally racist, and she couldn't understand that there are like black people who have opinions. Isn't it the weirdest thing? These white liberals who are like, they can't fathom someone like Candace Owens or Larry Elder or Thomas Sowell. Those people must be white supremacists or something.
Or
That's my
self-hating.
favorite
Or not
thing to
exist
be.
at all.
Yeah, people tell me that I want to be white so bad because I use my brain and I've done research regarding why our country is where it is. So that means I'm trying to be a white person, apparently.
Yeah, I remember, I've told this story before about when I was at the Dakota Access Pipeline protest and had a white dude tell me that when he mentioned that being on time for meetings was colonial thinking. No, that's what he told me. And then I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I have a meeting. I got to leave. And he's like, that's what the colonists, Native Americans, they didn't do that. They just, they knew when to wake up. And then I was like, what are you talking about? Asians have schedules too. Like, what? And he was like, yeah, but let's be real. Like, white people brought that stuff to Asia. And I was like, Asians invented the compass 1,000 years before you did, dude. I'm not going to sit here and listen to a white supremacist tell me he invented all culture in the world. But these people genuinely believe it. Mm-hmm. They're white people who think they did everything and anything good and like stoic or work related or responsible is they think it's just them and they must bring it to all of the lowly others.
Exactly. Well, it's not just that, right? Because then they hate those things. They hate those good things, and they also blame white people for them at the same time while taking credit for them. So yeah, something like having schedules and being on time, that's why people think. Like the ancient Egyptians had sundials. Other cultures have had a concept of linear time, as it turns out. Like people figured out pretty early on that like, one thing happens after another thing. And that you can figure out what you're going to do based on what things in nature do in their cycles, like where the sun is at in the sky, for example.
And when we got to harvest the grains to make our beer. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.